Hmm. Well, hello, good people of the interweb. If you don't know who I am, then perhaps you need to be reawakened. Yes, my name is Ichigo Mosco, but here I am called the Tenkaichi of Gaming. This time around, I won't be talking about video games. No, not this time. I'll be talking about something totally different. Kill the fucking bug. And that thing that is totally different is about relationships. That's right, relationships. The many things that happen, that can happen, and will happen in various relationships. They take all sorts of forms, all sorts of colors, and yet it's all about understanding and making sure those lines get connected. You know, just like the internet. And just like the internet, it also has traffic. You got many outside sources that tell you otherwise when you're entering a relationship, like be this and do that and show him what you and show him or her this and show him or her that and jump through hoops for this person and spin kick something for that person or whatever. Well, I'd say yes, you should be able to know what's what you should do in a good relationship. You do what's needed. And the one thing that I've learned in various relationships is that, well, the outside factors kind of say something a bit about your character. You know, how you deal with the outside forces compared to the inside forces. The outside forces meaning, rumors, hearsay, that sort of thing. And, how to somehow adjust yourself to this person. Now, take myself for instance. I went through various relationships, and many times I've been unhappy because of what one person, and because of this person that claims that they love me, say they'll be there with me forever until the end of time and everything and all that. Well, it sounded real nice and beautiful. It didn't last long. Actually, none of my relationships from 1998 up until now have never lasted long. Until there was perhaps one. And it's still ongoing. And the thing about this relationship is we share a certain love for something that we tend to get lost in. And that one thing is art. If you have seen a previous video with the story characters of Lens and Max, my girlfriend actually did that. And she actually did that when she was living here with me for a month. So what happened was one night, I was working on a book. She was drawing something. We were on like the opposite ends of of the same room. She was in a chair. I was on the couch. So what we did was we started writing and drawing respectfully. She leaves her chair for she leaves the chair for a moment. Her chair. She leaves her chair for a moment, and I managed to sneak a peek of what she was working on. So I asked her about it. I said, "You know what? This is good. This is really good. You know, could I possibly use this as a future cover?" She says, "Well, not quite done yet, but okay." So what she did was she let me have the photo. She let me have the picture, which to this day I sent it back to her, but I kept the copy on the computer. Now the thing is, we somehow understood each other. You know, she understood that I'm a writer. I understood that she's an artist. We'd have that long, quiet session for some time, and that long, quiet session really does take notice. And to this day, she still supports me with my book. You know, every so often, she will often tell me, you know, you can do it. Hang in there, and everything else. As the same as her when while she's going through college. And as she's going through college, she kind of feels kind of worn down a bit. So it's my job to actually just support her, give her a little pep talk, and everything is hunky dory. Before we were, how should I say, heavy duty, hot and heavy before. But seeing as what happened, well, things just went totally. Things went totally out of the ordinary, and before we were hot and heavy on each other, but to this day, we're kind of like very easygoing with each other. So a lot can be said about, my relationship status. It's very healthy, and well, she's not into sex. I mean, that's fine. If she's not into it, then she's not into it. However, you know, time passes and all, but the main things I had to say is that to this day, even as I went through that horrible, terrible marriage, she was still there. Made sure I was happy. Made sure I was okay. And if it wasn't for her, in which she basically did what she had to do, basically when I came back beaten up, half near dead, she basically just brushed me off, tell me, how much she missed me and everything. And it's been like that since. The bond between us has been pretty strong. It hasn't wavered since. But the various memories of when I remember what I had gone through previous before her. It's just, wow. Why again am I using myself as a example? It's trying to prove a point. When you're going through a relationship, you have to remember one thing. You have to take your time with it. It's just like walking. You have to take one step at a time. Don't start running. Don't start running until you know it's time for you to run. Just go with the pace. Make sure you know everything is as it should be. You shouldn't worry about what's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and all that. Just take your time with it. Focus on the right now. Therefore, the right now is basically what you should focus on, what you should think about. You shouldn't worry about, oh, well, I was kind of worried there because this would happen and this would happen and this would happen. And for those of you who you think I'm talking about, well, I am telling you the truth. It does take time and effort to make a good relationship to work. It also takes a bond of trust to also make that relationship last. You see, when you actually have a good, solid, healthy relationship, it's like a flower. You have to nurture it. You have to feed it, strengthen it, make sure it's okay. You have to make sure that what you do is basically just that. Do what you can. Namely, as such, you have to basically just make it work. And there's no way I can basically say you have to make it work by just, keep at it. Just remember, a good relationship is like growing a garden. The more you nurture it, the better off you'll be. The better off you'll be saying to yourself, wow, I actually made it this far, and look at this now. It's kind of like with me being an author. I never thought I'd get that far just by belief alone. But it took faith, trust, and of course, aside from the money, the belief in myself. So to this very day, yeah, I'm still doing that. I still have to keep reminding myself, yes, I am a writer. Yes, I have a job now. And yes, I have things I need to do with said job. It comes with the territory. Now, I know there are those out there who say they don't feel that they're not gonna fall in love again. Oh, it will happen. Give it time. You may say, I don't believe that I'm going to be finding Miss Right or Mr. Wonderful anytime. Yes, I'm talking to you ladies too. It's not just guys, it's girls as well. Upon the main things that, you need to remember is love takes time. It's not instant, but it does take time. You have to start off very slow, just like in all relationships. Because it always starts off with a first name basis. You say, hi, my name is such and such. How are you doing? My name is such and such. Nice day, isn't it? And it starts with a greeting to a friendly conversation, and ultimately the name you always wanted to hear, which is the person's name. And then it begins. I mean, I figure, it should be known that most people should know about what being in love is as to falling in love. Or rather, being loved and falling in love. Now, being loved, or being in love, is that feeling in which you never want to go away. It's almost like that. It's almost like a gnat or a fly right in your face, and you want to squish it, but you really don't feel like it. Or rather, it's more like a butterfly. I'll say it like that. It's like, it's so beautiful, you don't want to capture it. You just want to enjoy it for what it's worth. You want to make sure that that moment in your life, that moment in your own only life, does not want to end. And as I stated before, it happens. So, like I said, I wouldn't worry about being in love. Being in love is like the most wonderful thing in the world. It makes you feel all sorts of, I don't know. That's basically it. I don't know. It makes you feel all I don't know. You can't explain it. You can't try to define it. It's just the whole bunch of I don't know. And I can tell I've basically been through a lot of relationships that were like that. And basically it ended up with I don't know and what the hell. Because most of them ended up so badly. Aside from that, being loved, rather, is a great feeling. Now, falling in love is totally different. Falling in love is a lot less different than being loved. Falling in love means you're just starting out. You're basically like, you have a date, you enjoy the moment, and you don't want that moment to last. And slowly, ever so slowly, you slowly start to open up. And then when you slowly start to open up, and you feel that this person is for you, that's called falling in love. I'll give a good example of what being in love is. My grandparents. They've been together till death do them part. Till death do they part, rather. And I remember the last time I actually saw them. My grandmother passed away first. And then after my grandmother passed away, my grandfather was taken to a nursing home. He basically lost all the will to live. I mean, it's something I remember I saw last night, and it just affected me so strongly. It drove me to tears. It was a Korean drama I was looking at, and on this Korean drama, they showed different stories of failed marriages, whether it was about infidelity or, other factors. That's what they showed. Anyway, the last thing I remember I saw was, I believe it was the husband's mother. She lost her husband. Husband passed away by a mild heart attack, and she basically tried to get over it, and it's so hard to actually get over something like that, especially if you've been around, if you had a strong, loving bond like that for over, let's say, 20 years. I mean, it's hard to just say, oh, I can get past it. You can't get past that, especially if it's over 20 years. Borderline, I would say 50. Let's just say 50. If a relationship is gone that long, then my God, you can't just say you have to move on with your life. It's hard to actually move on with your life after going through all that, and then on top of that, then you're suffering through, the fact that that's this one person in your life that made you feel wonderful is gone forever. And what happened was they all had an issue about where should she go and who should she live with. Now she had two sons, both of them married. The eldest son lived in this part of town. The youngest son lived on the other side of town. And what happened was the youngest son decided to take his mother in. And he's a car salesman. He's a car dealer rather. And while he's trying to work, figures his wife will take care of her mother-in-law. And so for a while it started off simple until it slowly she felt the strain. And on top of that, a lot of other forces were at work, namely greed. And with that happening, it was just terrible. I mean, it was just really terrible. Now, there was another party in which I almost forgot about. And that party member happened to be their child. The child, I'm fast forwarding through the story. The child basically loved his grandmother. But somehow she got paralyzed. I missed part of the story, so this is what I can come up with. I missed part of the story because I was watching something else, just for a hot second. So I was watching. So what happened was she was hospitalized. Doctor told her she was paralyzed, and it'd be hard for her to walk. So therefore, what happened was she basically had to struggle. This somehow pissed off the wife, in which she tried to basically, one day, trying to make some noodles for her grandson. I accidentally spilled some water on his hands. Hot water. Scalding hot water. She couldn't help it because, the numbness, it was getting to her. She got really, really ticked off. And when she got ticked off, it was pretty much she had put up with her for as long as she could, but she couldn't handle it no more. So what the wife did was she took the grandmother's phone. I mean, not the grandmother. The mother-in-law's phone, which she was taking care of. And the husband got so irate after hearing what happened. What she did was she took the mother-in-law to a nursing home. First thing that popped in my head was my my grandpa, my grandfather. He was put in a nursing home. He was treated like shit. As I watched this, part of me just basically snapped. As I was just looking at it, there was part of me that was just growling in anger, just really, really growling in anger. And as I was watching this, the mother just wanted to hear from her son, just one time. Since she didn't have her, since the wife took away her cell phone, just stole her cell phone, she needed to hear her son, just had to talk to her. So she asked the nurse to, talk, could I please talk to my my son? I need to hear from him. So she tries to, she tries to make a call. Couldn't get through to him. So she tries again. Second time, goes to voicemail. There was no third time. As the third time was the nurse's husband. And the one thing I saw at that moment was that woman let go of the mother's arm as she was near a short flight of stairs, like 3 steps, saying she had no kind of stability whatsoever. She fell off those small flight of stairs, was sent to the hospital, and as soon as they appeared, as soon as her children appeared, there was they waited, and sadly, she passed away. This caused many complications. One of the main complications that really did it was the husband said, I'm through. Fuck it. Let's get a divorce." The wife was like, "But honey, why are we?" He said, "Look, I'm preparing the documents. Be prepared. Getting a divorce. What you did to my mother, that was cold." And like I said, it made me flash back to my grandfather because he was treated that way. He was somehow neglected and somehow forgotten. And I feel he died in the worst way possible. He died alone with a broken heart. And the worst thing to happen is for anybody for anybody that would happen is to die with a broken heart and alone. So my point about that is, well, if you're in a solid relationship, make sure that bond is strong. Make sure you trust that person. Don't say, that you're not interested in love. Oh yes, you'll be interested in love when the time comes. You'll find that right person that you're looking for. Sure, it might not happen now. It might happen in a day. It might happen in a month. It might happen in a year. But who's to say? You just can't dis disallow love. And honestly, a good relationship requires love. It is what you should expect from a good, solid relationship, which is love, trust, and understanding. Make sure that the lines of all three just stay open, never closed. So, as I leave you now with that story in mind, please remember that if you have someone special in your life, make sure to let them know how much you care for them, how much you appreciate them, how much you love them. Because in kind, they will give you the same kind of care, love, and attention that I feel everyone would like to deserve in their own individual lives. Anyway, I have been the Tenkaichi of gaming, Ichigo Musco, and just think on that. Anyway, I'll see you around.